Welcome to the Saturday HOA Brunch, presented by Angius&Terry, LLP. Please sit back, relax, and join Brad Epstein, Jonathan Broderick, and Viana Barbu for an hour of entertaining information about HOAs and HOA law on AM 1380, The Answer.
TKZ 1380, The Answer. We're honored, as always, to have our legend producer in the back, Frank Jolly, on the sticks. And we welcome back Viana Barbu from her worldly travels. Welcome back, Viana.
I'm happy to be back. I missed the balmy Sacramento weather.
Yeah, welcome back. So we are all about community associations, community association laws. If you want to join the conversation, 888-923-1380, 888-923-1380.
I feel like, too, right now we're all kind of about holiday parties because it is the season.
And
right?
because we're going to holiday parties every day.
Oh, it's exhausting. Well, it could be worse.
Yeah, it's such a horrible life. I know. Just going to holiday parties every day.
All right, but we're excited because all we do is talk about ways to make your community association better. And so what better than have a gentleman come in and assist your association in negotiating right of entry and cable and internet contracts,
yes,
so that you can save the most important thing, right, in associations' day-to-day operations: money.
Money, money, money. Yes, we are honored to have our guest and one of our sponsors, one of our best sponsors, Morgan Fussell with Broadband Agreements.
Welcome, Morgan.
Hey, it's nice to be back. I've missed being here. Pleasure to have me here. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, but you missed being here, but I believe last week via your social media site, you were sitting on the 50-yard line cheering on your Michigan State green, right? You're a Michigan State guy?
I sure am. I studied at Michigan State. I studied cable television at Michigan State, and I was back for the Penn State-Michigan State game, and we won that game, and we're playing Iowa today, so go green.
Heading to the airport from here, Morgan, or what's the plan?
I've got a private jet gassed up and waiting.
Great. That's great. All right, Morgan. Well, then, I want to hear it just right now. What's the breakdown? Tell us about, broadband agreements by MFC, and let's remind the listenership the services that you can provide.
You bet. Thank you, Jonathan, Brad, Deanna. I appreciate being here. As we all know, these cable TV is a necessary. I don't want to say evil. It's very important to have cable television on your premises. And as we all know, it's private property out there, right? Your common areas are private property. Cable TV companies are not utilities. They need an agreement, and it's important to have the correct agreement in place. In California, they can only be 5 years long, so they're coming up constantly. And our managers get these, and there's certain compensation that's offered, certain value. How do you sort these out? Who else is serving your properties? And so what I decided to do, since the federal government ended exclusive access provisions in 2007, a longtime cable TV veteran, worked 25 plus years in the business, I decided to create a company to consult and help these HOAs better their positions with these cable companies.
Because there's benefits, right?
They are. And it's one of that old adage, you don't know what you don't know. And all of a sudden somebody might be offering you some compensation for being there, and how do you figure it out? And our attorneys are great in town, but they don't know the deal points. And so that's where I come in and help improve the position.
If it's enough compensation, because you can obviously know where they need to be compensation-wise, depending on the size of the association. And
absolutely right, Jonathan. Every HOA has its own fingerprint, so it really does depend on how large you are, how you're set up. And
yeah, can you elaborate on that exactly? So what we're talking about is associations having agreements with, say, Comcast or other cable television companies, and the agreements are for access, right, to the association?
Correct. It's twofold there. We have to keep one thing in mind. Telephone companies have the ability to operate in the public utility easement. Cable companies are privately held companies. They actually need a right of entry to be there. They actually need an agreement to be there. Phone companies essentially do not. But phone companies often want a marketing agreement with the association, so the associations will present their services in a favorable manner. Well, cable companies want that too. So
the bottom line is that associations through your company can get a better deal with these access agreements from the cable companies?
Exactly right. I mean, they're going to be there. The access agreements are be there. If you don't have one, you should get one. It's very important. I mean, why not? It's important to have that agreement structured right. And basically what I'll do is I'll improve that position. I'll improve the income.
But what will the association have to pay you to do that?
How it works is this. I don't charge a thing. It's what I do is I sign a letter of authorization with the board president. It allows me to go to these providers and negotiate that offer. A lot of times what happens is the managers will get these agreements. They'll be mailed to them. They'll send them to their attorney. The attorney sometimes will send them to me, or the managers will send them to me. And I take a look at what was offered. And it's a confidentiality thing. You know, they were probably offered some sort of compensation. What I do is I improve that. And so I basically will split the upside with them. So there's really no risk, no out-of-pocket for them.
So the association will be compensated for the access. They'll be compensated by the cable company. And so the cable companies will come to the associations. They'll offer them a contract and say, we'll compensate you for allowing us this access. And the access is to give the different owners at the association cable, but the different owners, they don't have to all use that cable company.
Correct. Yeah, the agreement is non-exclusive access. So the resident can order any service they want. They can have Dish, Direct, AT&T, Uverse, Comcast, and whoever they want, they can choose. But it's important to have, the right agreement in place.
So there's not really a downside. I mean, right?
Right. There is no downside. There is zero risk.
I would like to know just an example, Morgan, because we're going to be coming up here on our first break. Just some numbers-wise or compensation-wise, you don't have to necessarily disclose any of your clients or association names, but can you give us an example of what maybe a service provider has offered for compensation, and then where you've been able to steer the opportunity for the association to receive more compensation or better compensation, a better agreement?
Yeah, there's a number of ways that associations are compensated out there, and these offers come in all the time. And it could be a door fee offer where they pay a premium per door. Maybe it's $50 a door. Who knows? 70. It depends on the total number of units there. Really, it does depend on who's the competition. And so basically, what I'm going to do is improve that particular offer.
Oh, wow. That sounds excellent. Bianna, you had a question? Didn't you have a question for Morgan?
Yeah, I was wondering, Morgan, what gives your company the advantage in negotiating with the internet and cable providers?
Yes, my background, 22 years with a major cable television provider, and actually what I did for this company was I secured these access and marketing agreements for this company for 22 years. So I know the business of every single cable TV provider, not only in California, but nationwide. So I know their business, and I'm entirely independent.
Okay, so we're going to continue talking about broadband agreements, and also what we want to do is we want to talk about the law concerning contracts.
Important, yeah. And then we have it's holiday season, and so there's some people that could be perceived as nuisances in the community, right? So we've got a little story from the Associated Press about a situation going on in a
Oh, you have a special association story?
Shouldn't we bring something in?
Is this something that you made up, or is this true?
Oh, no, this is actually true because it's on the internet.
And also, we have Battle of the Board Members today, right?
Absolutely. I'm excited to get into, it's bowl season, so we're going to have all of our own games going.
Football bowl.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's my comparative.
Who do we have today for Battle of the Board Members?
Today we're going to have Carol and I believe Debbie. And Carol, she just called in. Carol, how are you doing this morning? Can you hear us, Carol? Well,
we'll get her hooked up, right?
Yeah, Carol.
Yes.
Oh, hey, there you are. How are you doing this morning?
Doing great, thank you.
You're anxiously awaiting your opportunity to play Battle of the Board Members, correct?
That's correct.
And Carol, where are you from? Where is your association?
We're in Woodland, California.
Woodland, we knew that. Excellent, fantastic place.
Well, we are excited to have you on the line, Carol. Real quick, I just want to ask you, how long have you been on your board of directors?
I'm just completing my first year.
Completing your first year. Okay, well, we're excited. We're going to come back from the break, and you said, what were we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about contracts and primarily contract terms, the different terms in contracts that boards should look out for.
Yeah, and the nice thing is it's applicable in real life too. We'll be back.
This is real life stuff. That's right.
If your community association has a good relationship with their current management company, you can stop listening. However, if you are struggling with your current service provider, we'd love to talk with you to see if Omni Community Management would be a good fit. Transparency, education, communication, and trust are just 4 of the qualities that set Omni apart. This is Rolf Crocker, CEO of Omni. Call us at 916-965-8964. That's 916-965-8964. Online at omni-mgt.com. That's omni-mgt.com. Omni Community Management, your friend in the community association management industry for over 20 years.
Have you ever heard of the saying, a person's home is their castle? Of course you have. But sometimes a construction defect can turn your castle into a catastrophe. If this happens to you, you need proper and professional representation. You need Angius&Terry, LLP. For over 30 years, the attorneys at Angius&Terry have been effectively serving homeowners and community associations, recovering more than $500 million on behalf of their clients. Angius&Terry strives to ensure that your construction defect claims are prosecuted in an aggressive and cost-effective manner. Angius&Terry will also continue to work with homeowners and community associations after the construction defect claims are concluded to make sure that the money received from builders is spent wisely and that your interests are protected during the repair process. Don't let a construction defect turn your castle into a catastrophe. Call Angius&Terry LLP today at 916-567-1400. That's 916-567-1400. Online at angius-terry.com. Angius&Terry LLP. Professional Parking Enforcement, or PPE, was created to provide effective parking solutions for all types of parking issues. PPE focuses on parking problems of HOAs and can quickly eliminate these problems through their system of property inspection, violation updating, ticketing, and enforcement. Contact PPE today at 702-283-0628, online at ppenv.com. PPE, promoting harmony in HOAs through parking and compliance enforcement. We take time to understand your community's needs.
Silver Creek Association Management.
We solve small problems before they become big ones.
Silver Creek Association Management.
We help make your community a better place to live.
Silver Creek Association Management.
It's what we do, because an association is more than just a bunch of homes. It's a community of people. We work with you to make better communities so homeowners can enjoy better lives.
Silver Creek Association Management. Online at sc-manage.com. That's sc-manage.com.
AM 1380. The Answer.
You're listening to the Saturday HOA Brunch, presented by Angius&Terry LLP. And now your hosts, Brad Epstein, Jonathan Broderick, and Viana Barbu on AM 1380, The Answer.
Well, we're back. Second segment of the show. I can see the traffic starting to pile up next to the Arden Fair Mall. And do you think there's anything to do with the holiday season and Christmas shopping?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's because of the weather. Real balmy.
That's why everyone's getting into a nice, cool mall. All right, we also have our second contestant that just called in over the break. Debbie, how are you doing this morning, Debbie?
Oh, very well. Thank you.
Well, we are excited to have you on the line along with Carol. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself in regards to your position on the board of directors in your community?
I was previously president for 3 years on the board of directors, and then I took a little break, and then I'm back as just an officer. And I've been living in this association for 25 years now.
Wow.
And I love it, and I like being on the board. You have a more feel of your neighbors, what's going on and how you can help everybody out and stuff.
That sounds great. Debbie, where is your association?
In Woodland, California.
That's right. We got 2 battlers from Woodland today.
Yeah, this is
exciting.
It's like the Woodland Bowl, right? Battle of the board members in Woodland. So the community, if there's any any fallout from the competition or anything that goes on
they
in
can
Woodland,
find each other easily.
We don't want. Yeah, we're sorry. We apologize to the city of Woodland right now. Well, Carol and Debbie, we're very excited to have you on the line. And listen up, because we're going to give away all of the answers before we go into Battle of the Board Members. So we're excited to have you, and stay tuned, all right?
Okay, great. Okay.
All right, but first, it is the season, right? It is the holiday season, so you know there's always going to be things that pop up out of the norm for the holiday season in community associations because of what? Decorations, increased traffic,
Right,
maybe
you're going to get
Christmas caroling.
the Santas and the Grinches, right?
Yeah. So everybody thinks the old board of directors can be the tyrants or the Grinches of Christmas. Well, I've got news for you. This was reported by the Associated Press. In an Idaho homeowners association, the board of directors has backed down, and they are going to let this gentleman continue to have his charitable fundraiser during the Christmas season. So KREM-TV in Spokane, Washington reports that the West Hayden Estates Homeowners Association Board in October originally threatened a lawsuit if this owner decided to have his holiday extravaganza. Well, because it is the season, the board of directors has decided, right, like they always do, to be reasonable.
But what exactly was this extravaganza, Jonathan?
The extravaganza was Christmas lights, loud music, caroling, and a fundraiser.
Wait. There's one item missing.
Exactly.
It also had a live camera.
Well, I was going to leave that part out. But anyways, this is
Frank,
an example.
a live camel.
A live camel, Frank. But anyways, this is an example of a board of directors, a good board of directors, like all the boards that you work with. They're making a reasonable decision. They're saying, hey, this is for charity and it's for the holiday season. Let's refrain from a lawsuit. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. It's limited in time, it's limited in scope, and this owner says he's going to raise hundreds of dollars for charity.
Well, we hope he does, and kudos to the board of directors for letting everyone get into the spirit and look at this gentleman's camel during the Christmas celebration. All right, well, back to business. Mr. Morgan Fussell in studio with us. He knows a lot about contracts. He knows a lot, with what, Viana? What doesn't Morgan know? Everything?
Morgan knows everything, but aside from that, what Morgan knows is that he can also perform audits for associations. So it's not just once you get into an agreement with a cable or internet provider, but you can have Morgan perform an audit for your association to see what he finds. And what do you usually find? What are your audits like?
Yes, the very important, because there should be agreements in place. So what happens when I audit an agreement? There's 5 different outcomes that's going to happen when we audit agreements. I'm going to find maybe an agreement with association with no agreement at all. And what happens, this is common with gated communities, single family homes, PUDs, gated communities, private roads. I oftentimes find no agreement in place. It's important, again, as we talked earlier, to have an agreement because they're operating on private property. Number 2, there's an old agreement or an expired agreement. I have audited, and get this, I have found developers still have agreements in place with developers. The developers are still being compensated from the agreement.
Oh, boy.
So that's happened. And so this is important to have an audit. Number 3, there's an agreement in place, but there's no compensation. And it's important to find out where these agreements are.
And it's important to have compensation when you're giving access.
It
correct?
really is.
Yeah.
It really is. It's important. Number 4, there's an agreement in place with compensation. So what we will do is we'll renegotiate that agreement if the timing's right. Generally, if there's 24 months or less, 24 months or less left in the agreement, we can renegotiate that and improve the compensation, improve the language. Of course, we'll always have our attorneys bless anything I come up with. There's about 8 or 10 items that you absolutely have to change in any of these boilerplate agreements that come across. I make those changes. I'm not an attorney, so I encourage to have the attorneys bless this. I would have gotten enough extra compensation that it's more than pays the attorneys, hours, 1 or 2 hours that they need. Number 5, there's an existing offer. Oftentimes my phone will ring. I've met a lot of the managers. They're great. They work very hard. Their plate's full. These managers are busy. So I'm not looking to add any work to them for them at all. But when that agreement comes in, there's an offer involved. And so or they negotiate. Let's give it to Morgan. So what I'll do is I'll improve those offers and the language, or I'm not paid.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty sweet service.
Well, all of these offers and these contracts are, they're your typical, I guess, what people think of as contracts. But there's also do's and don'ts that we want to discuss that as attorneys we generally recommend for associations to take a look at. And for Carol and Debbie, these might be some of the important answers coming up for the battle of the board members. So there's a couple of do's that I want to go over, and then I think Brad will have some don'ts that he wants to talk about. So.
Oh, I'm stuck with the don'ts. You get
Yeah.
the do's.
Yeah, there's got to be a Scrooge in every holiday situation. So, number one is always use written contracts. And the reason for that is because I doubt that anybody can always remember every single term of every contract in their head, aside from the violation of the statute of frauds, which says that any contracts to be performed in a year or more have to be in written form to be enforceable in the future if, for example, there's a lawsuit or a disagreement over the terms. So always use written contracts. Always require insurance and proof of insurance. Now, this might not apply to, for example, broadband agreements in every instance, but it definitely applies to other types of contracts, vendor contracts for construction, for landscaping, for all sorts of issues where an accident might happen or liability of any kind. So always require insurance and proof of insurance, and always specify independent contractor status. And Brad, what does that mean? Why would we
Okay, so
require
independent contractor status, that means that the contractor that the association is contracting with is not an employee. So you want to have it stated right there in the agreement that there is no kind of partnership status or employee status with the contractor.
And always review the scope of work. And I think Morgan would attest to that's a pretty important, the scope of the contract or the scope of work is a pretty important term there that the association should review carefully.
It really is, especially, well, in a new build situation, it's extremely important. But a lot of our communities are mature, but it's very important to have the proper language in those agreements. Last thing we want is a cable company coming out and they're starting to dig a new trench. We never knew they were coming. We have to have language in that agreement, materials modification language, for example. We need notice. We need 15, 20 days notice that you're going
in any language, which this is applicable, or construction contracts. Maybe you're using a service provider like Morgan. Possibly you're having a reserve study. You're going to review the contract with your reserve analyst. You're going to have all kinds of various vendors where you're going to need to make sure that you use Viana's do's and our in-studio Scrooge today, Brad's don'ts, right?
So one don't is limitation of liability clauses. These are becoming more popular. We initially saw them with landscape architect and architect agreements with associations. And what they are providing is a complete limitation of liability for the contractor. If anything goes wrong, then the contractor's liability is limited to, say, a arbitrary small dollar amount. You got to look out for these limitation of liability clauses. Also, think about provisions that shorten the statute of limitations. Viana, what's the statute of limitation?
So the statute of limitation is the amount of time you have from when the claim accrues to file a lawsuit. So if they shorten the statute of limitation, maybe by statute you have 5 years to file a lawsuit, and in the contract it might say you only have 2 years. So you want to be aware of that language that shortens that statute of limitations.
How about a provision that requires the association to make their monthly payments in less than a month? Right? Boards typically meet monthly or quarterly. It'd be difficult for a lot of associations, especially in a construction contract, to be able to review the progress and to be able to make their payments in less than 30 days.
Right. And once you miss one payment, you're already kind of in breach of the contract. So you really have to be aware of short payment deadlines, and never ignore those contract deadlines as well. Even if you do have longer payment deadlines, make sure you know what they are.
Now, I'm just going to ask, because I can receive this free advice, right, with these two great attorneys and colleagues in here. What would you say is the most, or what the lengthwise, how far out would you say is reasonable for a board maybe to negotiate? Well, we want to make payments every 60 days, or we want to make... What, is there a number?
You know, there really isn't. It depends upon the type of contract.
Just depending on the negotiation between the two parties.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about some other provisions, indemnification provisions in contracts.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Right, arbitration provisions in contracts, mediation provisions.
But meanwhile, call us at 888-923-1380. If you have any questions, if you want to tell us your horror contract stories, please.
More with Morgan Fussell when we come back.
Hi, this is Rick Russo, owner of Russo Insurance Agency and Financial Services. We proudly serve Granite Bay, Roseville, Rockland, Sacramento, Lake Tahoe, and the surrounding areas. At Russo Insurance Agency, we like to say, get to know us before you need us. Our insurance agency is built on relationships and trust. If you want to be certain that your most valuable assets are insured correctly, allow us to give you more than just a 15-minute quote. For all your commercial, home, auto, and life insurance needs, call us today at 916-791-1901. That's 916-791-1901, or online at rickrussoinsurance.com. That's rickrussoinsurance.com. Thank you.
Having trouble understanding your community association's reserve study? Does your HOA's reserve study seem to be written in a strange language? Hi, I'm Robert Browning, owner of the Browning Reserve Group. At the Browning Reserve Group, we have been providing easy-to-understand reserve studies since 1999. We actually listen to our communities and help them plan for the future. Find us online at browningrg.com. That's browningrg.com, or toll free at 877-708-0600. That's 877-708-0600. Clarity from complexity, the Browning Reserve Group.
Hi, I'm Morgan Fussell. My company, Broadband Agreements, negotiates cable television and broadband right of entry, access, and compensation agreements for your communities. At Broadband Agreements, we offer a free review of all agreements with a signed letter of authorization. Broadband Agreements will improve your community's income and or savings, or you don't pay us a dime. Visit us at broadbandagreements.com. That's broadbandagreements.com. Or call me, Morgan Fussell, directly at 916-939-5026. That's 916-939-5026. Broadband Agreements online at broadbandagreements.com or 916-939-5026.
If you are a community association or manager, you know your banking relationship is vital to your success. At Sacramento Bank of Commerce, a division of Redding Bank of Commerce, our industry expertise and personal attention make that task a breeze. With our specialized banking, lockbox, online banking, and remote deposit capture, trips to the bank are no longer necessary. And Sacramento Bank of Commerce can help your communities with a loan to repair, replace, or upgrade the investment. For local decisions and in-house processing, get in touch with our team today. Call Sacramento Bank of Commerce at 916-772-0131. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Did you see the story about the Homeowners Association? I wonder what their residents think.
I don't know, but I love my condominium association. The place looks great and is well managed, and our property values are increasing.
Well, that's a good thing.
Community Associations Institute, CAI, has helped us build a great community. They have tools for safeguarding our investment, including education for our board and professional training for our manager. Just visit CAI at responsiblecommunities.com.
Okay, responsiblecommunities.com.
News, opinion, insight. AM 1380. The Answer.
You're listening to the Saturday HOA Brunch presented by Angius&Terry, LLP. And now your hosts, Brad Epstein, Jonathan Broderick, and Viana Barbu on AM 1380, The Answer.
I like that. Viana's blushing now because we officially got her in the rejoiner. They announced Viana Barbu at the end.
Well deserved.
Yeah, it's like a little holiday gift I did for her. I wanted to surprise her.
What a guy.
Yeah. So
that's the gift, huh? Nice guy.
Hey, and a handshake. All right. So we've got Morgan Fussell in studio. We have two great board members. They're probably jumping rope, hitting the punching bag right now, getting ready to duke it out. Battle of the board members. And we're talking contracts. So you said you threw some big words out there: arbitration clause, indemnification clause. We're going to start talking.
Yeah, indemnification
not
clauses.
Santa Claus, contract clause. All right.
Indemnification clauses. So these are the provisions in contracts that will shift the coverage of any claims by third parties from one of the contracting parties to the other. So basically the bottom line is it's a provision in a contract that provides that one party will cover any liability incurred by the other party as a result of a third party claim. This is what insurance companies do. Insurance companies are indemnification companies. They are paid premiums to pay claims. So they're pay, and the claims are for liability that an insured would incur. So third-party claims. Also, Viana, arbitration clauses are important to know. And it's not necessarily that you don't want them in your contract, but you need to know about them, right?
Right, so arbitration and mediation clauses are really important to know about because what they do is they limit your ability to file a lawsuit. So what they usually say is that before you, or sometimes they do not allow you to file a lawsuit, and they say that you can only arbitrate or mediate a dispute, which does greatly limit your amount of damages, the evidence you can present, all sorts of issues there. So you should be aware if your contract requires you to go directly to mediation or arbitration.
Yeah, and Morgan Fussell with Broadband Agreements with us today, and he talked about the automatic renewal previously in our previous show. And Viana, you wanted to talk about that a little bit. So what you have is you have contracts that provide for an automatic renewal. You got to be careful for that because when a contract, say a cable contract, you want to talk a little bit about this?
Yes, it's common in these cable contracts. You'll see them that it's a 5-year agreement, and then it automatically renews for 5 years or 2 years. It's really important to get that down to 60 days. That's my recommendation, is 60 days. Or, if not, when that agreement comes back in, why not? Oftentimes what I'll tell my client is if we can't get that provision struck, we'll write a letter of non-renewal as soon as we get the agreement back.
And say, hey, we're going to start over again, right?
Right.
Because you're going to renegotiate a new contract. You don't necessarily want to be stuck with the original provisions that were involved in your negotiation.
Exactly.
Well, let's underline that because I think that's such a smart thing to do that your company does. And I think it's a great idea. And basically what you have is let's say, example, a 2-year broadband agreement with a cable company and an association, and the contract provides that the association must give 60 days notice of a non-renewal, right? The contract's going to automatically renew unless the association gives notice before 60 days.
Correct.
So what do you do?
Yeah, so hey, why not, the agreements in California are 5 years. It's pretty standard 5-year agreement. So here's this auto renewal of 2 years, or maybe they'll see it our way and we'll do the 60 days. But why not write that as soon as the agreement comes back fully executed? Why not let that be your flag to write the letter of non-renewal?
And you never forget because it's done already.
Exactly.
So curious. Do the cable companies, do they balk at that? Do they say, oh boy, what's this? They don't, right? They
not
put it in
at
the
all.
file.
Not at all. It's in the file. We're protected, so we've given our notice.
So basically, to sum it up, it's important to have a clearly defined termination clause. And if there's an auto renewal, maybe be aware of that, and also maybe perhaps terminate the contract right off the bat, your letter of termination.
Right. Now, Viana, you were talking about arbitration clauses, mediation clauses. What the heck is the difference between arbitration and mediation?
So arbitration, the decisions generally, it's similar. You have a neutral third party mediator or arbitrator. It takes the place of a judge. They are sort of a judge, but they're not an official judge in a court of law. And they in arbitration, you have the whatever the result of the arbitration is generally a final result imposed on both parties. Whereas mediation, you have a chance to negotiate between the parties, discuss things, and you might not come to an agreement, or you might, and then it's not as binding, basically.
Right. So what you have is arbitrations where a neutral third party, they impose a decision on the two disputing parties. Whereas in contrast, in mediation, it's a third-party mediator who just attempts to convince the parties to come together and reach an agreement.
Another important concept for contracts that I think people don't often think about is that when you have possible changes in a contract in the future, maybe you want to renegotiate some terms, in the original contract, you should have a clause that says that all future changes should be in writing. I think that's really important to have because the parties end up signing a contract and then later on they maybe renegotiate or think about things, and that next renegotiation might be oral and then it might not be enforceable.
Brad, have you ever ran into an association that signed a contract or approved a contract not in writing?
Yes. I've seen all kinds of contracts. I've been
Why
doing
would
this a
they
long
do
time.
that?
I've seen contracts for over $1 million that were Just
signed in crayon.
A couple of lines on one piece of paper. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Morgan, are you ready to I know he's looking at the game report. He's trying to check on his Michigan State Spartans right now, but the first game we have today is Battle of the Board Members. We'll be back and we will be playing Battle of the Board Members.
Go green.
Go green.
Hi, I'm Morgan Fussell. My company, Broadband Agreements, negotiates cable television and broadband right of entry, access, and compensation agreements for your communities. At Broadband Agreements, we offer a free review of all agreements with a signed letter of authorization. Broadband Agreements will improve your community's income and/or savings, or you don't pay us a dime. Visit us at broadbandagreements.com. That's broadbandagreements.com. Or call me, Morgan Fussell, directly at 916-939-5026. That's 916-939-5026. Broadband Agreements online at broadbandagreements.com or 916-939-5026.
The challenges presented by today's economy and rebounding housing market is forcing many homeowners association boards of directors to operate their HOAs more like a business. It's a balancing act of trying to stay solvent and still provide homeowners with quality amenities and services. One of the main challenges HOA boards are facing is attempting to recover unpaid HOA fees owed by delinquent homeowners. Collection efforts are often very time-consuming. If you want to get the HOA fees collection monkey off of your back, call ATC Assessment Collection Group. ATC is an attorney-supervised collection company providing collection and foreclosure services to HOAs in both California and Nevada's most recognizable communities. Get back to what you actually volunteered to do as an HOA board member. Effectively oversee your community. Call ATC today at 916-641-1410. That's 916-641-1410. Online at atcacg.com. That's atcacg.com. ATC Assessment Collection Group. Professional Parking Enforcement, or PPE, was created to provide effective parking solutions for all types of parking issues. PPE focuses on parking problems of HOAs and can quickly eliminate these problems through their system of property inspection, violation updating, ticketing, and enforcement. Contact PPE today at 702-283-0628, online at ppenv.com. PPE, promoting harmony in HOAs through parking and compliance enforcement. We take time to understand your community's needs.
Silver Creek Association Management.
We solve small problems before they become big ones.
Silver Creek Association Management.
We help make your community a better place to live.
Silver Creek Association Management.
It's what we do, because an association is more than just a bunch of homes. It's a community of people. We work with you to make better communities so homeowners can enjoy better lives.
Silver Creek Association Management. Online at sc-manage.com. That's sc-manage.com.
AM 1380. The Answer.
You're listening to the Saturday HOA Brunch presented by Angius&Terry LLP. And now your hosts, Brad Epstein, Jonathan Broderick, and Viana Barbu on AM 1380, The Answer.
Well, we're back for the fourth quarter of our show. It's crunch time. It's time for Battle of the Board Members, the big game before all three big college football games today. And if you two will quit taunting each other, Brad, you just mentioned all of your family are Iowa Hawkeye loyalty or alumni, or what's going on there?
Yeah, things are heating up in here. We got Michigan State versus Iowa. It's great.
Well, simmer down, because now we have Carol versus Debbie. Ladies, are you on the line?
Yes. Yes.
All right, so I'm going to flip a coin. Carol, I would like for you to call it in the air. Go ahead.
Tails.
Okay, it was heads. Debbie, you're going to go first, and Morgan is going to read you 3 questions. Then Brad is going to read Carol 3 questions. We're going to do 2 rounds, and then we're going to go into the lightning round. And
flip that.
What do you mean flip that? What did I just screw up?
I go first with Debbie, and then Morgan will go second with Carol.
Oh, that's what you'd like to do.
All right, so Debbie, right, and well, Jonathan, what do they win?
Well, a $100 gift card of their choice for first prize and a $50 gift card of their choice for second prize. Pretty good, huh, Morgan?
Oh, you can't lose. I like this. Win-win.
Fantastic.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, Debbie, you're first. 3 questions. Carol, you just wait. So Debbie first. Question number 1. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Association contracts should only be in written form if the Davis-Sterling Act requires it.
True.
That one is false. Number 2, arbitration clauses in contracts provide for resolution of disputes outside of court.
True.
Exactly. Number 3, limitation of liability clauses on behalf of contractors in association contracts are beneficial to the association.
That's true.
That one is false. They're not beneficial to associations. They're bad news. Okay, Viana, what's the score?
So we got 1 out of 3 for Debbie, but she has plenty of chances to make this
Plenty
up.
of chances.
Just warming up.
Okay,
Morgan.
Carol. Okay, Carol. Answer, let's see. The number 1, Carol. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Is it prudent practice to strike out any provisions to shorten the statute of limitations?
Yes.
True, that's correct. Number 2, a pitfall to avoid is a provision that requires payment in less than 30 days.
True.
Correct. Number 3, Carol, you're doing great. Boards should accept the lowest bids.
False.
Correct.
Good round.
Wow, 3 out of 3, Carol. That's impressive. Debbie, let's kick it up a notch.
Debbie, the
Yeah.
comeback kid. Debbie, are you ready for round 2?
Yeah.
Number 1, indemnification means covering another party for third-party claims.
True.
That is correct. Number 2, as part of the bidding process, the scope of work in each bid should be the same.
Yes, that's true.
Apples
It is.
to apples.
Nice job. 2 for 2 there. Number 3, mediation is where a neutral third party is paid to assist parties to resolve a dispute.
True.
That is great. 3 for 3.
Wow.
Wow, Debbie is coming back with a vengeance. 4 out of 6.
All right, Carol, we got to keep it going. Here we go. Number 1, associations should include in its contracts provisions that will indemnify contractors.
False.
Correct. Number 2, the scope of work in a contract should be defined by the contractor.
False.
Correct. Number 3, if work is to be performed in phases in a construction contract, timing for completion should be clearly defined.
True.
That's true?
That's a great round. That is a great round. I'm really glad we don't have any NFL officials in here, or else there might not be any clarity on the decisions and rules of our game.
Okay, now to the lightning round. Debbie, are you ready?
Yes.
Should we explain what goes into this lightning round, or the whole what our scope for the lightning round was?
Absolutely, Jonathan.
What is it? Go ahead this week and you tell me what the lightning round is.
The lightning round's where we're going to have 5 questions each, and we only have 45 seconds for each round, and we cannot repeat the question. So far, we haven't had to repeat any questions.
Like all major sports leagues, we are refining the rules and on a weekly basis or a yearly basis to make sure that they are
MLB,
great
NFL,
for our
they do that, right?
competitors.
To
Right.
make-
The
to
only
make the
thing
game
we don't
better?
do is we don't test our athletes for PhDs, so that's okay.
Not yet, anyway.
All right. So lightning round, go ahead.
Okay, Debbie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, Debbie, number 1. If directors do not understand a contract term, they may rely on experts.
True.
Exactly. Number 2. Some association contracts, and yeah, we didn't cover this one. It'll be a tricky one. Some association contracts require owner approval.
True.
That's great. Nice job. Number 3. For construction contracts, there should be a requirement that the contractor carries insurance.
Very true.
Very true. Does she get extra because it's very true? Okay, number 4. It is very expensive for associations to obtain all relevant information about a contractor prior to hiring them.
True.
That one's false. It's easy. You could go right online. Number 5.
I misunderstood. Okay.
Yeah, probably my fault. Number 5. Construction contracts should specify the independent contractor status of the company contracted with.
Can you repeat that?
Absolutely. Construction contracts should specify the independent contractor status of the company hired.
True.
Exactly. Nice. Are you throwing a flag?
Well, I thought the rules were Frank was waving his arms in the back. There's no repeating the question, but that's fine. That's fine. We're here to benefit
We're all
everyone.
Friends.
We're all friends, except for you and Morgan right now because of the game tonight. All right,
we
Morgan.
get competitive here,
too. First,
First,
Viana, how'd she do?
Pretty good, 8 out of 11.
Oh, fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, that is a good score.
Come back, kid.
All right, Carol, here we go. It is important to have a clearly defined termination clause.
True.
Correct. Contracts should include a clause that provides that any changes must be in writing.
True.
Was that a true? I heard true.
I heard true.
I heard true. Number 3, arbitration is where a neutral party imposes her decision on disputing parties.
True.
Got it. Contracts need not specify payment timing requirements.
False.
Correct. Here we go. Last one, Carol.
Tough one.
Tough one. Here we go. Associations. And listen, I can repeat this if you need it. You have one coming.
Yeah, it's like a challenge.
A mulligan, right?
You have a mulligan. Associations should always go with the lowest bid to keep the assessments low.
False.
Hey!
Wow. All right, our scorekeeper / attorney / rambunctious Romanian.
That is really impressive, Carol. 11 out of 11, a perfect score.
Wow. Congratulations.
Great job,
thank
Carol.
you.
But you know what, Debbie? You did a great job. And we really appreciate you coming on the show for the first time. And Carol, also, we're going to have to bring you back to have you challenge another, what is the name of the guy that had all those Jeopardy episodes in a row?
Ken Jennings.
Ken Jennings, right? Perfect scores, winning every time. So great job, ladies. I will get a hold of you next week, and we'll find out where you'd like some gift cards. Maybe you need them for Christmas shopping, maybe a nice restaurant. And we hope you have a great holiday season.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
We hope you had fun.
Okay.
Yes, we did.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, guys. Yes, so our tiebreaker was going to be...
Yeah, let's ask Morgan the tiebreaker. Morgan, give us the answer sheet back so you can't cheat.
Hey.
Yeah, quit looking at it. Okay, so Morgan, true or false? Associations should be aware of manufacturer's warranty language in a contract.
True.
Absolutely. The guy's a genius over here. For sure. Associations should be aware of manufacturer's warranty language in a contract. You know, oftentimes when associations do have contracts with service providers, there's oftentimes a product that's being sold under the service contract, and we forget about that.
Morgan?
Hey, just one thing we didn't touch on, just ever so briefly in closing, as a part of what I do, there's bulk agreements out there where associations pay a certain amount of money. When I renegotiate those agreements, I'll be sure to reduce those costs as well. That's very, very good to know.
Well,
expand on that. What do you mean about bulk agreements?
Like Costco shopping, you buy in bulk.
Yeah, a lot. There's two types of agreements out there. Retail agreements where communities order on their own, and sometimes an association will enter into a bulk agreement where they'll, for all 100 units, say that they'll negotiate a deal, a discounted deal for TV or internet through the cable company. And so the SEC upheld in their language in 2007, they upheld two important items for associations: the ability to enter into an exclusive marketing clause and the ability to enter into a bulk agreement. The FCC did not see that was harmful.
So Morgan, if associations are going to reach out to negotiate these types of agreements, where can they reach you?
A couple different ways. My email is morgan@broadbandagreements.com. My telephone number, 916-939-5026. Certainly go to my website, broadbandagreements.com.
Yeah, and if anybody's interested in getting a hold of the Saturday HOA Brunch and they need our number, you can go to our website, www.thesaturdayhoabrunch.com. Also hear previous episodes and give us a like on Facebook. And you can find all of our great sponsors' information. It's always posted on our page. We always like to give them credit.
Right, and don't be shy. What I do get during the week are calls and texts and emails about board members saying, try this, or we want to hear more about that. But thank you for listening, everyone.
Yep. See you next week.
Sparty on.